Hello, it's Bobi aka Paginator, and I have been on a little book journey today. My favorite bookstore, the King's English in Salt Lake City, hosted a Bookstagrammer appreciation event, and a few weeks ago they reached out through their broadcast channel and said, hey, are you a Bookstagrammer? Do you want to come to our event? And I said, yes, I'd like to come. So it was me and, oh gosh, I'm really bad at estimating numbers, 30-ish people. We went to the King's English today, and they have a lovely patio out back, and they had a panel with several of the people that work at the store, talked about upcoming events, upcoming releases, books that impacted them, lots of just different bookish things, and had a little like breakfast for us and stuff. I didn't really eat anything because I was just not feeling it. I was a bit anxious and scared, okay, I'll be honest. Had some anxiety issues, but that's okay. For the most part, it was really fun. And then they had a big table full of ARCs, and we got to go pick. And these are ARCs that have already been released, some more recently than others. So the first one I picked out was a book that was released in October of last year. It is By Any Other Name by Aaron Coulter. And it is a Shakespeare kind of thing. London 1593, 16-year-old Will Hughes is busy working on Shakespeare's stage, stuffing his corsets with straw and pretending to be someone else. Offstage, he's playing a part too. The son of traitors, Will is desperate to keep his identity secret or else risk being killed in the Bloody Queen's imperial schemes. All he wants is to lie low until he earns enough coin to return to his family. But when his mentor, the famous playwright Christopher Marlowe, is murdered under mysterious circumstances, Will's plans are hopelessly dashed. What's worse, Marlowe was a spy for the Queen, tasked with stalking a killer rumored to be part of an elusive order of assassins. And his secrets and untimely death have put Will under a harsh spotlight. So when Will unwittingly foils an attempt on the Queen's life, she names him her next spy master. Now, to avoid uncomfortable questions, prisoner, and even more terrible fate, Will reluctantly starts his new career, which, yes, will secure him the resources to help his family, but at what cost? Adding insult to injury is the young Lord James Bloomsbury, Will's new comrade in arms, whose entitled demeanor and unfairly handsome looks get under Will's skin immediately. Together, the two hunt the cunning assassin, defending the Queen's life and praying to keep their own lives, all while an unexpected connection blossoms between them. Holy cow, I stumbled over the words on that. I am so sorry. So that's the first one I grabbed, and they had us like do a circle so you could pick one and then let everybody else go through, and then you could go back and stuff. And by that point in time, I was getting super anxious, but I was like, if I get to get 3 books, I'm getting 3 books. So the other 2 that I got are ones that are published just last month in June of 2024. So we have 4 AIDS, Eats, and a Funeral. I don't know if I'm saying that word correctly. This is by Farida Abike-Yamide and Adiba Jaigirdar. I'm really sorry also for mispronouncing those names that I'm sure I did. So this one says, 2 Muslim ex-best friends turned enemies must work together to save their local Islamic center from demolition in this YA contemporary romance. Let's get one thing straight. This is a love story. These days, Saeed Hussein spends most of his time away at boarding school, but when his favorite hometown librarian, Ms. Barnes, dies, he must return home to New Cross Haven for her funeral and for the summer. Too bad being home makes it a lot harder to avoid facing his ex-best friend, Tiwa something, or facing the daunting task of telling his Bangladeshi parents that he would rather be an artist than a doctor. Tiwa doesn't understand what made Saeed start ignoring her, but it's probably the fancy boarding school of his. Though he's unexpectedly staying through the summer, she's determined to take a page from him and pretend he doesn't exist. Besides, she has more than enough going on anyway between grieving her broken family and helping her mother throw the upcoming EID celebration at the Islamic Center, a place that means so much to Tiwa. But when the Islamic Center accidentally catches fire, it turns out the mayor plans to demolish the center entirely. Things are still tense between the ex-friends, but Tiwa needs Saeed's help, if there's any hope of changing the mayor's mind, and Saeed needs a project to submit to art school unbeknownst to anyone. Will all their efforts be enough to save the Islamic Center, save Eid, and maybe save their relationship? So this sounds like it could be a cute one. And then the other one that I snagged was Lady of Steel and Straw by Erica Ivy Rogers. Lady Charlotte Sand was born to calm the restless dead, but her power has grown unpopular thanks to the newly ascendant religion of the Silent Gods. Worse, her family's ancestral guardian, a lavender scarecrow who was once a defender of the crown, hasn't woken for a new heir since her father's sordid death. With other guardians also reduced to pitiful bags of herbs on distant farms, the Order of the Guardians is a struggling remnant filled with political exiles. But darkness stirs in nouveau, and the spirits of the dead are turned into vengeful wraiths with alarming frequency. Captain Luc de Montaigne is a pious follower of the Silent Gods, and he comes calling on Sand Manor with orders to collect the magic hearts of every sleeping guardian. His success would purge the kingdom of the old god once and for all, but Charlotte proves defiant and triggers a faction war. As an army of the dead amasses and dormant warriors stir from slumber, Luke and Charlotte grapple with a forbidden attraction, kill the other and step closer to victory, or yield to the electricity between them. The hearts they stand to lose may in fact be their own. One of the bookstore workers that was talking mentioned this book, and they talked about a lot of books. I think this was one that they just talked about they were also excited to read. I don't think they'd actually read it yet. I have a lot of books swirling around my head from today. After the event, the store has done a new layout and moved some things around, so I wanted to take a look at that. I wandered around the store a bit, and sure enough, I found 2 books that I wanted to get. They were both middle grades, and I picked up Blackberry Fox. Doesn't this just have a cute cover? This is by Catherine Twardassi, and it is a translated work. It says translated by Catherine Wirtz. So, when Ben and Portia first meet each other in an old bookshop in Conway, they do not know they will soon experience the biggest adventure of their lives. Neither did they notice a red-headed man who is hiding behind a stack of books and whose shadow takes the shape of a fox. For Robin Goodfellow, the man with the fox shadow, Ben and Portia are his last chance to open the door to Fairy and finally return home. But for everyone else, the door spells great danger, and these 2 new friends must use all their cunning and bravery to protect their world and those they love most from being lost forever. So the next middle grade book I picked up was The 5 Impossible Tasks of Eden Smith. The author is Tom Llewellyn. And this is about a girl named Eden whose parents were killed by a falling meteor when she was 7 years old. It says they were squashed by a meteor. After years in foster care, 13-year-old Eden has a shred of hope. Her paternal grandfather is still alive right here in her hometown of Tacoma. That's what brings her to the beautiful and bizarre mansion housing the Guildhall of Smiths. There, Eden discovers a strange society of elderly metalworkers whose mastery verges on the magical, and her grandfather, Vulcan Smith, is the most gifted of all. Unfortunately, Vulcan's disregard for the Guildhall rules means he's been stripped of his smithing rights. The only way he can reclaim his status is if he or a stand-in completes the 5 impossible tasks, a series of deadly feats that demand courage and problem-solving. Eden, only just discovering her own gifts, is determined to triumph over those who would see her grandfather banished. And so, accompanied by her new friend Nathaniel and a cast of eccentric and inventive machinists, Eden sets out to do the impossible. If she succeeds, she'll save the only family she knows and maybe go to the bottom of more than one mystery surrounding the Guildhall's ancient lore. When I saw this, it made me think of a student that I taught a couple years ago. She's a young lady that wants to become a welder someday. And I think that's such a cool ambition for someone to have, and just be like, I don't care that most welders are guys, I want to be a welder. She found it fascinating, and I wish that I'd had this book when she was young enough that she would read middle grade, because she's now a high schooler and wouldn't probably touch middle grade with a 10-foot pole, but Anyway, this will make me think of her while I'm reading it, I'm sure. Okay, the next thing I'm going to share with you is some blind date with a book books that I got while I was at the King's English. I've told you about this before, but if you're new to my channel or haven't seen my other King's English hauls, they have a nonprofit organization called Brain Food Books, and this organization, since it started 2 years ago, has put over 27,000 books in the hands of kids who would not be able to afford their own book. They go to schools that have very low income, and they make sure that every kid there walks out with a book of their own to keep. The man who's now the co-owner of the store told us about his growing up, and he went back to his hometown, to the elementary school there where he first learned to love books, and he said it felt like he was walking into a prison. Everything was just gray and sad, and it was much poorer than he remembered everything being, but there was 100 kids there, and every single one of them got a book, and he's talked about how every single kid wanted to give him a hug, and the other booksellers and the authors they brought with them, everybody got hugs, and all of those kids said this is the first book I've ever owned myself. So Brain Food Books is the organization. I'm going to hold up a QR code if you want to donate to their organization. Please, no pressure, but if you would feel like that's something you'd like to do, you can like take a screenshot of this or scan it or something and donate. Or if you're in the Salt Lake City area and you stop by the store, you can also do the blind date with a book, or check out the events that the King's English does, because the proceeds from the events go to help that organization as well. So I have 3 books that I picked up from the cart because I read the little teasers and I wanted all of them, and they might be books that I've already read or already have, or I don't care. 1, because I'm supporting children's literacy by paying for these books, and 2, because I have students who love to get books for me. And yeah, so here we go. Let's open this first one. It says, the perfect YA summer romance book. 2 teen besties plan their perfect summer, but things don't go as planned. YA realistic fiction. What's it gonna be? Aww. Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. This is a delightful book. I have already read this, so this will be one that I give away to students. That is no problem. Again. So, Since You've Been Gone, Morgan Matson writes really cute teen, like, romance stuff, just darling. So this one says, it was Sloane who yanked Emily out of her shell and made life 100% interesting. But right before what should have been the most epic summer, Sloane just disappears. All she leaves behind is a to-do list. On it, 13 Sloane-inspired tasks that Emily would normally never try. But what if they could bring her best friend back? Apple picking at night? Okay, easy enough. Dance until dawn? Sure, why not? Kiss a stranger? Emily now has this unexpected summer and the help of Frank Porter, totally unexpected, to check things off Sloane's list. Who knows what she'll find? Go skinny dipping? Wait, what? Next one. Middle grade to YA novel with just the right amount of spooky. A 12-year-old is curious about her birth parents. All the clues lead her to the London Fair. I don't think I've read one like this, but you never know, because my brain tends to forget things quite easily. Okay, so we have Scareground. This is by Angela Kekojevic. The last time a fair came to London, there was a terrible tragedy. Adopted by a family of bakers, 12-year-old orphan Nancy Crumpet's life is a delightful mix of flour, salt, and love. Holy cow, my notifications are going off like crazy. I met a bunch of new Instagram friends, and right now my post from the King's English is just going ding, 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 ding. Anyway, back to the book. Okay, so she's adopted by a family of bakers. Nancy is 12 years old. Her name's Crumpet. Last name is Crumpet, that's cute. Her life is a delightful mix of flour, salt, and love, yet her mind is brimming with questions no one can answer. Where are her birth parents? Why must she keep her mysterious birthmark hidden? And why are all the adults terrified of the fairground? Faced with an opportunity to enter the Scareground, Nancy and her best friend discover a place of dark magic where rides come to life and there's mystery around every corner. When she meets the fair's sinister owner Skelter, Nancy faces secrets more horrifying than she could ever have imagined. What this last one is, it says, do you enjoy watching the Antiques Roadshow? Do you enjoy reading a cozy mystery? This is the book for you. So I'm guessing this will be an adult mystery, which is fine because I don't need to read all YA and middle grade books. The Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder by C.L. Miller. Okay, this looks fun. What antique would you kill for? In this irresistible and thrilling debut novel, a former antique hunter investigates a suspicious death at an isolated English manor, embroiling her back into the dangerous world of tracking stolen artifacts. Freya Lockwood is shocked when she learns that Arthur Crockleford, antiques dealer and her estranged mentor, has died under mysterious circumstances. She has spent the last 20 years avoiding her quaint English hometown, but when she receives a letter from Arthur asking her to investigate, sent just days before his death, Freya has no choice but to return to a life she swore to have left behind. Joining forces with her eccentric Aunt Carol, Freya follows clues in her instincts to an old manor house for an advertised antiques enthusiast weekend. But not all is as it seems. It's clear to Freya that the antiques are poor reproductions and her fellow guests are secretive and menacing. What is going on at this estate and how is Arthur involved? More important, can Freya and Carol discover the truth before the killer strikes again? Cool. So that's all the books that I got at the King's English. I know it's a lot. So I definitely didn't need more books, but I was already in Salt Lake and Barnes & Noble's like just down the street a little ways. Well, a few streets. But it was like a 3-minute drive from the King's English to the Barnes & Noble, and you know that I had to go. So, I have 4 books. The first one I got is The Haunting by Natasha Preston. The gal who was checking me out at the register, she's like, oh my gosh, this author's so good. And that was good to hear. Anyway, this one says, Penny knows she must forget about her ex, Nash. Ever since his father was revealed as the brutal serial killer who traumatized their small town last Halloween, Penny's parents have forbidden her to have anything to do with Nash or his family. It's hard not to think of him, but she's trying. That stops when she goes shopping with friends for a costume. What she finds instead is ripped from a horror movie, someone from school bleeding out on the floor of a dressing room, stabbed. People are quick to blame Nash and his sister Grace, but as Halloween nears and the body count rises, Penny can't help thinking this copycat killer is someone no one else suspects. I have to say, completely unfair to blame a child of a murderer. Like, it's not their fault that their father's a complete a-hole. They're probably dealing with enough horrible feelings, like shock of finding out the truth about their father, and then wanting to still love him because he is their father, but like also hating what he did, and then being separated from him because obviously he'd be sent to prison, and you know, all this stuff. They have enough of that without being shunned by girlfriends, boyfriends, friends, whatever. I think that's ridiculous. But you know, I live in a small town. I know how things happen. People talk and unfairly blame other people for things that are not their fault. Anyway, let's move on to the next book. This is A Door in the Dark, and it is by Scott Reintgen. Ren Monroe has spent 4 years proving she's one of the best wizards in her generation, but top marks at Balmeric University will mean nothing if she fails to get recruited into one of the major houses. Enter Theo Brood. I mean, a guy whose last name is literally Brood. This is gonna be good, right? We hope. If being rich were a sin, he'd already be halfway to hell. After a disastrous party trick, fate has them crossing paths at the public waxway portal the day before the holidays. Theo's punishment is to travel home with the scholarship kids, which doesn't sit well with any of them. A fight breaks out. In the chaos, the portal spell malfunctions. 6 students are snatched from the safety of the school's campus and set down in the middle of nowhere, and one of them is dead on arrival. If anyone can get them through the punishing wilderness with limited magical reserves, it's Ren. She's been in survival mode her entire life, but no magic could prepare her for the tangled secrets the rest of the group is harboring or for what's following them through the dark woods. Okay, so I got those 2 paperbacks, and then I picked up 2 hardcovers. So let's do this one, The Changing Man. Something that this cover just kind of stood out to me, like the shadow guy, and I don't know. I guess I'm kind of mentally in the mode to get ready for spooky season because quite a few of these books have kind of dark vibes. But anyway, this one says, if it was left to her, Ife Adebola wouldn't be starting at Nethercott School because despite her being in the Urban Achiever Scholarship Program, her parents can barely afford the tuition. No matter who is trying to be friends with her like her classmate Bajal, or how much the prestigious boarding school tries to pull her in, Ife is determined not to get caught up in any of it. But when another student, Malika, begins acting strange, Ife can't help but wonder if there's more going on at Nethercott than she realizes. Could there be any truth to the school's decades-old legend of the Changing Man? Is there any connection to the missing older brother of her classmate, Ben? As more questions arise, Ife has no choice but to team up with Ben and Bajal to investigate. But can the trio act quickly enough to uncover who's behind everything before one or all of them is the Changing Man's next victim? One of the blurbs for this one says, a twisty atmospheric thriller. That sounds right for spooky season. There's a poem on the back about the Changing Man that I'm going to read to you. It says, in hidden rooms from shadows of the night, his steps come soundless, his eyes glow bright. He leaves strange plants as he creeps away. Feel lonely at heart, you'll become his prey. When he stalks about, seeking those to change. Dun dun dun. All right, last book. Forward March. Skye Quinlan is the author. We have a book about marching band kids. Hooray for the band geeks. My high school had a marching band. They were actually pretty dang good. The school that I currently teach at does not have a marching band. We have sometimes had a pep band. We've never had enough kids to like do an actual marching band. Anyway, let's read about this one. Harper band geek McKinley just wants to make it through her senior year of marching band and her Republican father's presidential campaign. That was a tall order to start, but everything was going well enough until someone made a fake gay dating profile posing as Harper. The real Harper can't afford for anyone to find out about the Tinder profile for 3 very important reasons. 1. Her mom is the school dean and dating profiles for students are strictly forbidden. 2. Harper doesn't even know if she likes anyone like that, let alone if she likes other girls. And 3. If this secret gets out, her father could lose the election when she's not sure she even wants him to win. Yeah, if her dad's a Republican. And, I mean, we know what the world's like. Sometimes people are garbage about stuff. But upon meeting Margot Blanchard, the drumline leader who swiped right, Harper thinks it might be worth the trouble to let Margot get to know the real her. With her dad's campaign on the line, Harper's relationship with her family at stake, and no idea who made that fake dating profile, Harper has to decide what's more important to her, living her truth or becoming the first daughter of America. Okay, so that's it for this book haul. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, and if you did you enjoy them? Please no spoilers. And in the meantime, have a wonderful, magical, and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.